Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 1 of Split Decision Podcast. We're going to be talking about UFC 293. We got Adesanya versus Strickland. Today, I'm joined with Finesse the Books. We're going to be discussing the main card, some underdogs, some targets, hot takes, maybe some parlay pieces, and more. And I forgot to kind of give our overlay a shout out when I open this video. So I'm going to run this really quick and we're going to go ahead and start with the main card after this. Yeah, we paid $5 for that, so we got to use it. All right. So the first fight that we got on the main card, we have Tyson Pedro taking on Anton Turkalj. I don't know if you look too much into this fight, but initially when I was looking at it, I'm going to start this breakdown off because initially I was on the Turkalj side, and I think a lot of that had to do with me being impressed with his durability. And I think that's the wrong reason for wanting to pick a fighter. And then on the flip side, you got Tyson Pedro, where he was on a long layoff. He comes in with his first couple of fights and gets some quick finishes, and then he looks really sluggish against Modestas Bukauskas. And there was a report that came out that actually stated that he was actually sick. He was dehydrated. So it kind of showed in the cage that he just was not himself. So, you know, I don't like to listen to interviews too much, but I mean, it was true. He really did not look like himself in that fight. He gassed out after, like, I believe the first grappling exchange, and, you know, it just didn't look right. Like, he just wasn't fighting like Tyson Pedro. Modestas was also a big dog, or a moderate sized dog, in that fight, and he ended up winning. And you know, now we're getting a discounted Tyson Pedro price. And initially when I was looking at it, I was like, man, Anton's gonna have the grappling advantage, the durability advantage, and probably the cardio advantage, because the guy can, I don't even want to say wrestle, but he's very gritty. Like, he doesn't mind getting in the pocket. He doesn't mind clinch exchanges. But to be honest, when I was rewatching his fights, I'm not impressed with this guy at all. I think his wrestling is ass. I don't think that, you know, I don't even know if his cardio is all that good or if he's just durable. That remains to be seen. But I do believe that with Tyson Pedro not having to travel so far for this fight, him being the better striker, in my opinion, and I do think that he's going to have grappling upside as well. I think that all the value in the world's on Tyson Pedro. And after rewatching everything, I kind of have him valued closer to about minus 150 range. And I still think that there's value on Tyson Pedro at this point. So as far as the main card goes, that's going to be my first selection. I like Tyson Pedro to get it done. And I know that there's a lot of talk about him gassing after the first round, and that's been apparent for a lot of his UFC career. But I mean, the guys look like a little bit slimmer, in my opinion. He's moving light. He looks good at, you know, if you watch his conferences, and he just looks confident. He's not having to travel. I don't think that there's a lot of pressure built up around him. And I don't honestly think Anton Turkalj is really marketable. This fight right here is built for Tyson Pedro, the Aussies, Israel Adesanya. It's just one of those fights where I don't want to get in front of that if it goes to the judges' scorecards. Now, when I break it down, I'm thinking, man, he can knock this guy out, you know, via volume. He can probably submit him. And I'm not even going to put it past him to not win a decision here. Again, I'm going to I don't like to listen to interviews, but I'm going to actually believe him because I know he gasses out in a lot of his other fights, but he just gassed out really bad against Modestas. And that was a fight where, you know, he looked good in round one and just, I think he gassed himself out. Yeah, I'm going with Tyson Pedro in this fight. I'm curious to hear what you have to say, or if you looked into it at all. But yeah, that's my first official selection.
Yeah, I love it, bro. I'm right there with you. I think that was an amazing breakdown. I heard the same thing about Tyson right before the Bukauskas fight, and then I watched the fight again, and I 100% agree. You know, it looks like it, right? You know, we like to expect a lot from these guys, especially when our money. You know, Tyson Pedro's a guy that's burnt a lot of people plenty of times in his UFC career, so it's easy to just say, "Oh, he gassed," you know, he looked terrible, but you know, he's a human being, right? Imagine being sick on one of the most important days of your year. You know, it must have sucked. So I give him a bit of a pass But on the Turkali side, right, pleasure man, pleasure man. I think that's the best thing about this guy is the nickname by a mile. I agree with your sentiments. I was not impressed. Fought Dos Santos on a contender series. Well, let's start with what I like, right, from Tokali. And you brought up some of these points already. Obviously, the durability, right? He's been getting hit with absolute bombs as long as he's been in the UFC octagon and even on contender series. Dos Santos, his contender series opponent, super low level opponent, mainly a striker, right? We saw him have wrestling success versus Turkali in that fight, but Dos Santos was hitting him with fucking bombs, and he was just walking forward to eating them. So durability, I like you said, cardio, right? It's tough. Um, he wrestled almost the whole fight versus Petrino and versus Dos Santos. So to keep up that pace, especially a wrestling pace, I was impressed by that as well. That's where it kind of ends, right? I think you used the best word. It's a lot of grit, right? He's not the best wrestler. The volume is super super low, right? He throws the kicks. They don't seem overly powerful. They don't seem overly quick, anything like that. But he throws his kicks way more than he throws his hands. So that's a big worry for me. His lack of volume, and just the grittiness up against the cage, trying to take guys' back, trip him down and shit like that. That's his game. And in this matchup against Tyson Pedro, I think Pedro will be slightly quicker. I think he'll put out the more volume. The tough thing about Pedro is that, I don't think he's won a fight that's gone past the first round. So that's the biggest thing. I think his path to winning this fight is a late stoppage or probably most likely a decision. And that's hard to envision when a guy hasn't won any fights past the first round. So that's my only worry. But I like Pedro at underdog money, still close to even on a lot of books. So I like the Pedro side. I know a lot of people will be staying away from this fight or betting Turkali. I've seen a lot of Turkali love, but just nothing shoots off the page. So I think Pedro has the minute winning ability, the round winning ability. I think he can finish him, right? Pedro had dynamite in his hands. So, but this guy's super, super tough. I've seen him eat bombs. Now, lower level competition, but bombs nonetheless. So, yeah, I like Pedro in this fight. He hasn't made my official card yet. I want to see how much action I have in total come tomorrow. But he's most likely going to make the card, especially at that price. So, only time I'm going to back Pedro is at plus money, even money, right around there, and hope for the best. So I think there's a good spot for him at home, bounce back spot. I think you brought up a good point too. I think his physique has changed, right? He looks a little bit slimmer, a little bit more muscular. So hopefully he's in the best shape of his life, right after that disappointing fight against Bukaskis. So yeah, I'm willing to take a shot on that, take the slight plus money, and I like Pedro to win this fight as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Pedro, and none of these props. I was just browsing through them. Really appeal to me. I don't care for the over 1.5, over 2.5. I think this is one of those keep it simple, stupid spots where you just got to play the money line. The odds already are generous enough to where you don't really need to get too crazy and entertain anything silly. So yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I think Tyson Pedro gets it done, and I think he has multiple avenues to actually make it happen. So I'm on the Pedro side. I like him pretty confidently. I don't think Anton is anything special. I just think that, like you said, it's mostly just his nickname. That's hilarious. But moving on, the next fight on the card, we have Justin Tafa taking on Austin Lane. I don't know who the hell asked for this rematch or who really wants to watch these fights. I mean, I guess it's interesting. It's heavyweights. We always have to have some heavyweights on the card. I think the most interesting thing about Austin Lane is that he played for the Jacksonville Jaguars, 3rd round pick. He's an athlete. Justin Tafa, he's really mostly known for his brother. So, man, this is a fight where I really hate betting on rebooked fights as it is. I'm not really going to have a strong take or opinion here. But we did see the first fight ended a technical draw. You can rebet that same draw for plus 6,600. I know lightning doesn't strike the same way twice, but that would be the only spot that I would look in this fight. Just because I don't know what to think of either fighter, to be completely honest. I don't know that Tafa is much of anything outside of round one. Austin Lane, we've kind of seen him extended, but it's just been embarrassing level of competition, I guess. So I'm not really impressed with him either. I do think it's dogger pass at the current odds, but I just don't like betting on rebooked fights. So this is an overall pass for me. I don't know if you have a take here, an opinion here, but yeah, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna hand it off to you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you at all. Taffa Brothers, we know what we're gonna get. It's gonna be a cracker of a fight, like they would say. It's gonna be bombs getting thrown everywhere. But the books are making it really hard for me to want to pull the trigger. I don't necessarily like parlaying Justin Taffa. I think Justin Taffa wins this fight. I think he knocks Austin Lane out as he does almost all of his opponents when he wins. Like I said, just the books are making it hard. Taffa by KO is minus 155 on FanDuel. Round one KO is plus 135. So you get some plus money there, but I mean, do you really want to? I'm looking for more than that on that type of prop. So I'll do a little bit of line shop and see if I get maybe above plus 150, plus 160. I don't think this fight is making it out of the first round. If it does, I think it ends for sure in the second round. But first fight lasted 30 seconds, right? Can't take much away. What I did take away though is that Taffa found his range in 30 seconds. It was crazy. He was already on the inside, kind of reading what was coming back at him. So, like you said, Austin Lane, former NFL player, he's athletic, but super stiff, standing up, super awkward. I don't like his striking defense. I don't like his range management, any of that stuff. So I think Taffa is going to do what Taffas do. His little brother just caught a body not too long ago. I think it's time for him to follow up on home turf. And yeah, this one is pretty simple for me. So I don't know if I have any action. Like I said, I'm not going to parlay Taffa. Taking him straight at minus 220, minus 230, I think is out of the question. But I mean, some people might like that. But I'll see if I can find some good lines. I think Taffa knocks his fucking face off.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, Taffa would be the way that I would look. I do think it's dog or pass, but my official prediction is Taffa to get it done inside the distance, just because I'm not too sure how Austin Lane looks against this caliber of opponent. I'm not really impressed with his overall resume, so I don't know, man. Passing overall, red flags all over it. It could go either way, and nothing would shock me in this fight. A draw at plus 6,600 would not shock me in this fight.
Lane knocking Taffa out wouldn't surprise you a little bit, just a tiny bit.
No, man, it honestly wouldn't. Just because Taffa, I mean, he's round one for a majority of his fights. Like he throws a whole bunch of power, but he exerts himself to where he exhausts. Austin Lane, at least we know he can compete for 15 minutes. He slows down too, but man, I don't know if you saw them face off yesterday, but he's huge compared to Taffa. And we knew that, in the first fight, he's massive, but he can maintain that pace. Taffa's just kind of he's fat, honestly. He's fat. But I mean, I'm not going to put him past it, him to not win this fight either. I do think that he's the better mixed martial artist in this fight, but physical attributes can go a long way, especially on lower level competitions. I'm passing, man. I'm only looking at a draw if I play anything, and that's a lottery ticket. I'm just not interested in rebooked fights. So moving on. This one is going to be an absolute banger of a fight. We have Manel Kape taking on Felipe Dos Santos. Felipe Dos Santos was scheduled to take on an opponent at the Dana White Contender Series. He was a massive favorite in that spot. This guy actually is pretty fun to watch. Now, he brings a nice striking game, forward pressure. He mixes it up pretty well. He attacks the body, which I love to watch in my fight. Like when I'm backing a fighter, I want them to actually attack the body and not just look for knockouts. That guy, I mean, he's legit, but I do think that he's just a little bit young. Now, when I'm looking at this fight, though, I think that the odds are just so off and so inaccurate. Manel Kape, you know who beats Manel Kape? Same with Rose Namajunas. He beats himself. He keeps these fights so damn competitive that he kind of plays with his food. And I don't like that too much, especially at minus 418, minus 425 is where he's kind of hovering at. Not really a fan of that. I do think that he gets it done, but Felipe Dos Santos is a tough kid. He's also undefeated. He will move forward. I don't have any concerns or questions with his cardio. Manel Kape, he's pretty low volume, but when he is high volume and when he is having to be a counter striker, he's dangerous. And I do think Felipe Dos Santos will bring that out of him, just because he will go forward and exchange with Manel. Manel, I have no questions with his cardio, with his durability. He's been in Risen. He's been, He's fought the much better competition by far. He's been there, done that. This was supposed to be a fight against Kai Kara France. So, he's prepared for a striker as it is. Felipe Dos Santos is not just a kickboxer, though. That's kind of what Kai Kara France, the difference is. I think Felipe Dos Santos can also threaten in the grappling areas. But Manel, I mean, he's already seen all of that. So I don't know, man. I'm not a fan of the price tag. I do think that there is value in the underdog, to be honest, just because Manel Cape does play with his food a little too much. The odds seem wide. Manel Cape in round 3 via TKO is probably the way that I would predict this fight to play out. But overall, I'm going to be watching this as a fight fan, not as a bettor. I'm not interested in the numbers. I do think that there is a path to victory for the underdog. I just don't know how he gets it done. I mean, he's just a little too young. I want to see what he looks like because this is his first fight, and he's on a pay-per-view of his very first fight. He's debuting on a main card for his first fight. So pressure's all on this guy, but if you think about it, he really has nothing to lose. This is I don't know, man. This is kind of like bragging rights, even if he does lose it. So I'm gonna go with Manel. I think round 3 is kind of a good look. But I just can't get behind the number. So what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think he broke the fight down amazingly. Yeah, if you think the line is too wide, then you have to think there's value in the dog, obviously. And I can't blame you, but I think Manel Cap wins this fight. I think he finishes Dos Santos. Like you said, I think you did a good job breaking him down stylistically. So I'll just kind of give my thoughts on action I want to play. I think Manel Cap finishes him. Like you said, another shoot the box guy, Dos Santos, another shoot the box guy. We know what we're gonna get. I think you mentioned this as well. He's gonna come forward. He's gonna be in your face. He's gonna look to throw strikes, and I think that works right into Manel Cap's game. If you come to him, he's gonna rip you to the head, rip you to the body, vicious leg kicks. I think Manel Cap is pretty sound defensively, which you like. Because Dos Santos is dangerous, right? Like you said, it has finishes on a map, finishes standing. So I wasn't overly impressed with the tape. The Felipe Dos Santos tape looked like a shoot the box guy. Obviously, I knew he would shoot the box before I watched the tape, and nothing really jumped off the page for me. Obviously, lower level of competition, and in this low level of competition, he's going to decisions, split decisions with, and stuff like that. So, he got finishes, 5 finishes in 7 fights. That's good, but just fighting these Brazilian promotions, these shoot the box promotions, going to splits with guys that doesn't jump off the page to me either. So yeah, I like Manel. I think he's on obviously championship trajectory. I think they're bringing Felipe in, giving him the shot, right? Tough luck on Contender Series, but way too big of a step up. This guy is 23? I think he is 23. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
I think he's 22, but either way, he's young. We'll call him young.
Yeah, super young, flying across the world, pay-per-view, main card, against a fucking killer, right? Against a absolute killer in the division. So I think the UFC knows what they're doing. I think Manel Cap needs, highlight knock on his resume to build up any, future fights and stuff like that. And I think that's what he'll get. I think this is a perfect stylistic matchup. I like Cap in a fight where a technical fight too, where he's kind of chasing down his opponent, but I think this more lends to Cap being able to win, but more importantly, get a finish. Because Felipe is going to be there. He's going to be in his face and leave plenty of openings. So, like these shoot the box guys, likes his flashy shit, likes his spinning shit. And I think that's going to leave a variety of openings for Cap. So I think he can finish it wherever the fight goes. And that's what I want when I'm taking, this amount of juice. So I am going to be playing Manel probably in a parlay. I was looking at some combo props. I'm not really seeing it. Like I'm seeing to win in round 1, 2, but I'll be interested to see what KO round 2 or 3 is. Felipe, I think it's tough enough to make it past the first 5 minutes in a lower weight class. That helps too. So I like the late round finish props, and I'm gonna definitely play Manel in a parlay. I think he wins this fight.
Yeah, that's fair. Parlaying him would probably be better for the number itself. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for this Philippe kid. I do think that he has a bright future. He's still young. He's only going to get better. So, but yeah, I think this is just a step too much, in my opinion. But moving on, we have the co-main event where we have Alexander Volkov taking on Tai Tuivasa. I'm gonna let you start this one off. I want to hear your take on this one.
Yeah, I don't want to take any of your fucking thunder because we know what side you're on, and I'm sure you'll talk about that in a little bit. But I'm kind of aligned. I've been back and forth. I watched the tape on these guys a couple times. I was back and forth for a lot of the week, but just it's the price for me. I'm still seeing Tide plus 210, plus 215 some places. I really like that value. I think Volkov is definitely dangerous. We know what he presents. Imposing physique, not physique, whatever the fuck you call it, imposing frame, super super tall. Um, he kind of towers over Ty. I think obviously teep kicks, leg kicks. You know, throwing heavy shit from range. Volkov is going to be. But I actually like the matchup for Ty. I'm seeing a lot of Volkov love. People playing him straight at this price. People parlaying him. People playing finishing props, and I can see why. But I think we're starting to see um, the decline a little bit of Alexander. He's been at the top for a while. He's faced the who's who of the division. His resume, you can't poke a lot of holes in his resume. So, respect to him. This is going to be what his 48th professional fight, which is insane. He's been in the UFC forever. He's coming off some good wins. Beat Rosenstrike, beat Romanov. Romanov, obviously, that's where I'm poking some holes. Now, I say you can't poke any holes, so I'm poking some holes. We know what kind of what kind of fighter Rosenstrike is. Mainly a striker, wings wild shit, leaves plenty of openings, and we've seen him get chin checked multiple times in his kind of young UFC career for Rosenstrike. So Volkov finishes him in the first round, finishes Romanov in the first round. I still don't know if that was actually Romanov in there. I don't know. Somebody got to convince me. I need to see a birth certificate or something because that did not look like the prime Romanov. So he looked 100 pounds, like he gained 100 fucking pounds. He was super slow in that fight, and he gets finished in the first round. But I think Volkov's looking a bit slower. And I think Ty's going to be much more athletic in there, which is kind of funny to say, right? You look at Ty's physique, right? Super, super flubby guy and shit like that. But I think he's going to have the speed advantage, the physical advantage. The leg kick's going to be huge for Ty. Super, super nasty head kicks. It's obviously going to be a task for him to get inside, find his range, and get to Volkov. But I think he's going to do it, bro. I think he's going to do it. I think this is a big fight for Ty. Obviously, at home, fan favorite, co-main event under Izzy. Major opportunity for Ty coming off some setbacks. I think there's a bounce back spot for him. I actually like the matchup. So, Volkov may decide to wrestle. I'm not in love with Ty's wrestling defense, but I think it's good enough. Just like we were talking about with the Gon fight, right? Everybody counting out the wrestling. I'm not trying to compare those two guys, but all it takes is one. You throw one of those takedowns, kind of shove him off, and Volkov may not want to wrestle anymore after that. So I like the spot for Ty again. It hasn't made my card officially yet, but I don't see myself not taking a plus 210, plus 215. I think this is a great spot for him. A lot of people count him out, the size, his resume, him getting knocked the fuck out and shit like that. But I think people are sleeping on Ty. So I like Ty to remind some people, get it done on home turf. And obviously, I got to take him by finish. So I think he can win a decision. I do personally, but I think he finishes Volkov. So I think we're starting to see just that first kind of inkling of the downward trajectory in Volkov's career. So getting older, getting slower. I hate his striking defense, so I think he'll be there to hit. If Ty can find a way to close the distance, I think he get it done and finish him possibly early. So yeah, I'll kick it over to you. I know you already kind of on the Ty side too. So what do you like, bro?
I like the number. I think that the number is just a little too disrespectful.
Yeah,
Here's the deal, man. Whenever you watch Volkov strike, I think that he's very technical in the way that he approaches all of his fights, but technical doesn't get it done against Tai Tuivasa. You're going to have some power. And I'm not saying that Volkov doesn't have power. I think that his straights are actually really nice. The reason that I like Ty in this fight is because for as long as Volkov is on that lead leg, it's going to get chopped. And Tai Tuivasa throws heat with those leg kicks. So that's the number one concern that I have. Now, again, Volkov should be the favorite. I just think that minus two, what is he at, 50 or whatever? I think that's just a little too steep. It's too rich for my blood. I think maybe minus 135, minus 140 is a little bit more appropriate just because Tai Tuivasa is going to chop that lead leg. He's not, he doesn't have chin concerns in my opinion. Pavlovich would knock out Volkov too. I can say that with confidence. Now, we think Volkov is this durable guy, but he keeps his chin up and it's there to get clipped. He's not fighting guys who are going out there to look for TKOs. Romanov fight ended way too soon, didn't really play out. Like you said, that wasn't even Romanov. He fights Curtis Blades, got taken down like 28 times, not even bullshit, and that's a real stat. There's holes in his games, and where he's looking good is when he has people who will fight him at range. And I don't think that Tai Tuivasa is scared to exchange in the pocket. The way that I see this fight playing out, I also wouldn't put it past him to win a decision. I could see some clinch work from Tai Tuivasa. It's funny that you mentioned that because I was kind of eyeing the same thing. But I think he puts him down with a body shot. That body is going to be there to get hit. I think he's going to touch him right in the liver and he's going to hurtle over, go down. I just see it playing in my head. At the same time, I don't want to put it past Volkov because he does have finishing upside, I guess. I just think that he's too technical. He likes his game to be too pretty. And the way that you beat Tuivasa is making it ugly. Like Pavlovich did. Pavlovich didn't make it look beautiful. He went out there and bum rushed him. And I don't think that Volkov has that path. But again, Volkov is a great fighter. I don't know if I would consider him a legend. I guess I would. I mean, he's been in the game for a really long time, but we're not going to see any clinch work here initiated by Volkov. We're not going to see any wrestling exchanges initiated by Volkov. He's not going to do any of that. He's going to strike with Tuivasa and give the win equity is there on the Tuivasa side. So yeah, I like Tuivasa. I think he's going to sit him down with a body shot just because that head is just a little too high. But when you watch Volkov, he's not fighting strikers that are really going to attack the body outside of Cyril Gane, and Cyril Gane did it for 5 rounds. And Cyril Gane could have finished that fight, but this is the Cyril Gane, a younger version of him when he was just so technical that he didn't really care for finishes. He was just, and to be honest, Cyril Gane doesn't have finishing power really. I know that we're seeing it lately, but it's more volume based finishes. It's not one hit knockout shots. And that's where Ty comes in. That's what he presents. So like the Ty side, man.
I think there's a couple other things working in our favor too, right? You mentioned Volkov loving to be technical and pretty, right? We see more and more what judges are valuing in terms of scoring these fights. So if Volkov is spending 2-3 minutes kind of poking from the outside, may look like he's winning the exchanges, and then Ty comes in and lands a vicious fucking combo or two in the last 2-3 minutes of the round. That might sway the judges right there just based off damage or whatever criteria they're scoring now. So judges love to score that, right? Taking the damage and the more powerful moments of the round rather than kind of, you picking them apart, it looks like, for a couple of minutes. And also, it's on its home turf, right? So if this fight does go to decision, both of us think Ty has decision win equity. So if this fight goes to decision, that's even more of a reason to for the judges kind of nudge Ty's way. So that's the obvious one. So I like those on our side too.
Nice. Let's see. Hold on one second. The next fight that we're going to be talking about, of course, is the main event of the evening. We have Israel Adesanya taking on Sean Strickland, and you know what? I'm going to let you talk about this fight first. I'm going to let you go.
Yeah, I hope you don't got a hot take on this one. I don't know how much we really got to talk about this one. We'll see what you got to say. But Israel Adesanya is going to win this fight. Now, again, let's start on the Sean Strickland side. Definitely has some positives, right? Really good record, right? He's faced the who's who. He's been in the UFC for a minute, fighting some of the best guys in the world. Has shown to be at times extremely durable, and then at times, gets knocked the fuck out by Pereira and Kamaru Usman. So we've kind of seen that side. Super aggressive, right? The volume is always going to be there. He breaks guys. You saw that in his last fight against Abus. He absolutely broke him. Abus was broken by the beginning of the second round. And he got absolutely manhandled and finished in that second round. So, his pressure and his style of fighting, just so willing to walk you down, be in your face, and put that pressure on you is a valuable thing to have in your fighting style. But this is just too much. Now we starting to, Izzy's been a champion for a long time. 2-time middleweight champion, been a champion for a long time. Sometimes a little tougher to get out of bed, especially for the Sean Stricklands of the world. But Sean Strickland was handpicked by Izzy. he's getting a title shot off of an Abus win. Anybody watching this, y'all let me know if y'all ever heard of Abus before he fought Strickland. Getting a title shot off of that is absurd. So he's talking it. Strickland's talking his shit, and I think Izzy just even more of a reason for Izzy to get up and be super motivated for this fight. Izzy's just going to be too much. I think again, we were talking about this in the Manel Cop fight. Strickland is going to walk you down. He's going to be in your face, and he's going to go right to Izzy. And Izzy's going to have every chance in the world to hit him at all three levels. I think the kicks are going to be massive. I think he's going to rip apart the body with the kicks, rip his fucking calves apart. We see, Strickland style is kind of upright, heavy on the feet and shit like that. So I think Izzy's going to absolutely tear him up. We see Strickland on all of his fights, over parrying. His parry game, his reactions are fucking crazy. So, I'm sure everybody's seen that clip of Dan Hardy breaking that shit down and Dan Hardy being mystified by fucking Sean Strickland's lack of head defense. So I think the head kick's going to be there for Izzy. I think every single thing is going to be there for Izzy. I know some people are giving Sean Strickland love just because of the price. Oh, you can't tell me he's plus 450 is the right price. It's too wide. It's too wide. This. I think it may not be wide enough, to be honest. Izzy can come out here and look minus 1,000. People are also saying, "Oh, what if Strickland wrestles?" First of all, Strickland doesn't seem like that type of guy. Now, this is a different level, right? You're fighting for a championship, so he may come out and actually use his fucking head and fight like that. But we've heard that before, over and over and over with Izzy. Blachowicz was able to do that and succeed and beat Izzy, and shout out to him. But that's a weight up, and Blachowicz is a monster. So I don't think it's that easy. All he got to do is wrestle. Like Izzy knows what's up. So if it does come down to that, which I don't really think we'll see, I think Izzy defends well enough. The movement is going to be an issue too. We talked about it in the Gaunt fight. It's going to be tough to track Izzy down in the bigger cage. Izzy's going to be picking him apart, boxing his face off, hitting him with leg kicks at all different levels, and I think he's going to finish him. So I think we'll talk about this when we get to the props and stuff like that. But like I said, Strickland has proven tough and durable and tough to finish at times. I'll give him that. But Izzy's a different fucking breed. So I like round 2, round 3, round 4. Around there, seeing what the odds are. I'll look into that when we get to the prop section. But I think he finishes the middle rounds. We might not even see the end of the second round in this fight. So it's pretty simple for me, pretty square. If you say, I'm taking the minus 600, minus 650 to win, but I think Izzy wins and still, and then we see what's next for him.
Yeah, I don't have a hot take here, actually. I think that this fight's actually going to play out kind of boring. I do think Sean is going to try to implement some grappling, try to use his size a little bit. I just don't think it's going to be enough. I think that he fights pretty stupid. He doesn't really have knockout power. Of course, he got Abus out of there, but generally speaking, he's more of a volume guy and just, he likes to wear on guys in the striking department. I think that it's going to be a mismatch here, though. I see Izzy just kind of leg kicking and striking at range and just kind of overwhelming Sean. But, if he goes for it, which I hope he does put Sean out. It would be more entertaining in my opinion. You could get him inside the distance for minus 110, but you could have got the same thing versus Jared Cannonier, Marvin Vettori. It's the same price, and he's just not putting these guys away. Sean does leave his chin wide open. I hope Izzy gets it done, but every time I back this guy inside the distance, it's a boring leg kicking decision. I don't think that this is going to be the best fight. I think Tai Tuivasa steals the show with his performance. I wish Izzy went for it a little bit more, but he's more on the counter side. That's why he was involved in one of the most boring fights of all time versus Yoel Romero. I think they threw like 12 punches. I don't recommend anybody rewatch that fight. It was awful. But that's just Izzy's game, man. Counter striker, and he'll just stand there and wait for you to attack. And that's what Sean's going to do. Sean's just going to go for it. So, yeah, I don't have a hot take there. I do think that he's a parlay piece. Yeah, that's going to do it for the main card. We're going to go ahead and get into some other segments of this show where we got a prelim preview as well. I don't know if you had a prelim preview to look at over this card, Finesse. I do. I wanted to discuss the Jack Jenkins and Chepe Mariscal fight. That's going to be...
Me too. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's going to be my prelim preview. So let's talk about it. Chepe Mariscal and Jack Jenkins. Jack Jenkins, you and I were on the same page this last time out where he fought against Jamal Emmers. We said, well, he's going to win this fight because he's going to fight in Australia. And here we are today. He's fighting in Australia. Same card. I think that he has a nice low kick game, but I don't know that. I don't know. I just still feel like he's underdeveloped, kind of one dimensional, and just beatable of a fighter. I think that the odds are a little bit disrespectful. I think that we're giving Jack Jenkins a little too much credit for being Australian. Not even going to lie, man. I kind of want to entertain the dog here. I want to see how wide these odds get. Let's see what he's sitting at right now. Jack Jenkins. Oh, okay. So the price is kind of coming down because Mariscal was up at plus 180. So it looks like money is coming on him. Well, with that being said, this might be a fight that I just pass on. But if it comes down enough, I don't know, man. Split decision might be screaming my name. Chepe Mariscal, I mean, sure, he's been TKO'd before, but he has fought the better level of competition. He's training with Justin Gaethje. He's training at elevation. He's been in Australia for days now. It's not like he's getting there last minute and is having to cut weight last second. So the guy's going down to his natural weight class. He fought Trevor Peek at lightweight and made it look pretty easy. And he was an underdog in that fight too. I think that he just has good movement and can keep this a lot more competitive than what the odds are suggesting. So overall, with the odds coming down, I may end up looking towards like a prop split decision or something like that. But I think as a fan, I think this is going to be a banger prelim fight. Man, I don't even know how to predict it with the odds coming down like they are. I guess I'll go with Jack Jenkins split decision just because it's in his home turf and probably another robbery win, something like that. But man, if this was plus 200, I would be on the underdog. I think it's going the wrong way for me. I was waiting on more Jack Jenkins love just because of the name value, just because, it's his home turf and the crowd's going to be behind him, but not a fan of the number. I don't know if you had any takes on this fight, but yeah, it should be a banger, man.
Yeah, I do. I mean, as the week has progressed, I felt more and more like kind of on an island. I'm seeing a lot of Chepe love and I'm seeing a lot of disrespect. I'm reading a lot of disrespectful shit about my man Jack. So, like you said, we were both on Jack. He cashed us out. Whoever the fuck you thought won that fight, it was a super close fight in my mind. Live, I scored at Jack. I watched the fight back, and it was a close ass fight. Nevertheless, Jack got his name read, and he won the fight. One of the most disrespectful things I think I'm hearing throughout the week is that Jack all he is leg kicks, and I think that is the furthest thing from the fucking truth. Obviously, the leg kicks are vicious. I think he's broken the leg of like 2 or 3 of his fucking opponents. So obviously, yes, the leg kicks are there. They're vicious. They're nasty. But he's so much more than a leg kicker. I think he's super, super technical in an offensive striking game. I think he's super responsible and defensively sound, right? Striking wise, which I love. I think his movement is crisp. People are talking about that Jamal Emmers fight. I don't know if people are underestimating Jamal Emmers. I like Jamal Emmers. I think Jamal Emmers is a stud. I think people still underrate him. I like the W's that are on his record. And he's a stud. He can get it done on the feet. Tall, lanky, can tear you apart from distance. Pretty good offensive and defensive wrestling, and we saw that in the Jack fight. But Jack in that third round, yes, he got out wrestled. But the exchanges in that fight, the wrestling and scramble exchanges in that fight, Jack had his moments. Jack reversed a couple times. Jack got out of bad positions a couple times. People are thinking Chepe is going to come out and be more aggressive with the offensive wrestling, and I wouldn't mind that. I think Jack can fend it off if he does wind up on his back. I've heard some people say that Jack looks completely lost when he's on his back. Earlier in his career, like as I go farther and farther back in the tape, there are some points where I see that he's on his back, not trying to progress to better positions, not trying to work his get-up game. But we saw it against Jamal Emmers. He's flat on his back at times, and he uses his scrambling. Some reversals are just strength. Some are more technical. And I like that. That's what you want to see, progression throughout his career in that area. So I don't know if I'm blind or dumb, or I don't know what the fuck I'm watching, but I'm seeing a lot more from Jack. I'm liking a lot more from Jack. Like I said, I'm seeing a lot more from Emmers too. Like, I love that fight. That was 2 dogs in there fighting it out. So respect to them both. Whoever you thought won, it is what it is. But shout out to them both. That was an incredible fight. So I think Jack has real potential in the division. I think Chepe is a step down in competition than Jamal Emmers. That's just my personal opinion. I think some people are underrating Jamal Emmers, like I said. Chepe's tough. Chepe's fucking tough. He's a dog. Like you said, he's gonna come forward. He's gonna be in there. The cardio is on point, right? So I'm not saying Jack is gonna blow him out the water. I don't even know if Jack finishes this fight. I think he has a chance to finish the fight. I like round 3 or decision props. I like Jack by decision props, but I haven't decided how I'm gonna play Jack. But I'm gonna play Jack at home, right? Obviously, those home field advantages with the judges, like you said, like his last fight. So yeah, I feel like I'm kind of on an island on this. I've seen some love for Jack, but people pass him because of the price. I don't mind the price, so I don't mind playing it straight at -200. I don't. Some people don't like that. I don't. I don't think I really want to parlay him. I think I have other ideas for some parlays, but I like Jack. I think this is a good matchup for him. I can see him winning in a multitude of ways, and that's what I want. If I'm laying 2-1, laying money on a 2-1 favorite, I want multiple paths to victory. I think he can win a decision 29-28. I think he can 30-27 Chepe. So I see some people taking a +3.5 on DK, and I don't mind that, right? The spread. I think Jack can cash. I think Jack can win the fight, and Chepe can cash that +3.5 ticket, but I think he can win 30-27. I think he can 29-28 him. I think he can finish him in rounds 2 or rounds 3. So that's enough pass for me. I like Jack. I think he wins this fight. And another one on his home turf. So yeah.
Nice. Was there another prelim fight that you wanted to target, or was that the one for you?
That was obviously that was the best one for me. Carlos Oberg is on the prelims. Carlos Oberg is going to win. I'm going to find a way to play him too. I think that's the feature prelim.
Yeah, I can see it. So we align there, but we have a little split decision on the Jack Jenkins fight. So that's always fun. Like to go head to head. Yeah, I'm with you on Oberg, man. I think that his striking is just going to be too much and overwhelming for Da Un Jung. I do think that he is a parlay piece. And I do think if there's a fighter in that bout who looks -500 is probably the striker. And people are saying that, man, Daw's going to go out there and try to wrestle him. And I'm like, man, first of all, I think that the lateral movement is pretty dangerous on the Oberg side. I think his biggest concern is not really his wrestling. I think it's mostly that he leaves his chin up. But I think it's been addressed, and I have no real worries about him. I think that he's a parlay piece, along with probably Manel Kep at the price. So
sneaky overs for me in that Oberg fight too. I think I'm liking the over 1.5. Both guys, I think Oberg is way more technical, way more powerful. Definitely has a chance to win the fight in round 1, but I know a lot of people are going to be taking that. A lot of people seeing, his highlight reel and shit like that. But both guys are content to kind of stay back and point fight at times. Both guys like to counter, right? So that can lead to more overs where you're thinking, oh, this fight is going to fly under. Somebody's getting knocked the fuck out. Carlos Oberg is going to knock him the fuck out. And while that may happen, I think if it does happen, it's more likely to happen later in the fight. So I think sneaky overs too, over 1.5 rounds. I really like that.
Yeah, not bad. Alrighty, so we're gonna go ahead and
before we move on, real quick, what do you think about Shane Young?
I think he's another one of those fighters that just kind of beats himself. Here's the deal with Shane, man. He's so he has all the skills. He's volume, pressure heavy. He's a fun fighter to watch, but he's so deficient in certain areas of the game. You can grapple him. He kind of wears himself out. He just didn't look right over his last couple of fights. He kind of gasses out. Gabriel Miranda, though, on the other side, the guy goes balls to the wall, looks for the finishes, and I think that could be to Shane's detriment. But I will say this. I think that the odds are kind of accurate. I don't know. Shane doesn't really have the pressure here. CKB guy again, not really having to travel. Gabriel Miranda, I think his last fight was Benoit Saint Denis, and we know where that guy's headed. So it's tough, man. I'm not going to – I do have a 3/4 unit on Shane Young. I think that the line is pretty much inflating a little too much, though. It's getting out of range for me to actually say that I really like a current number in this fight. So, and 3/4 unit was just because, man, the experience, home turf, his striking. I think that he can wear on Gabriel Miranda, who's actually having to cut 10 extra pounds from his debut. I don't know if that matters too much because he is a featherweight, but I mean, we'll see. I'm not too sure. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm in alignment. I like Shane Young. I think Miranda's sub or bust. I think the sub has to come early. Um, I've seen Young, like you said, not have the best tank in the world, slow down in fights like and stuff like that. And I still think he has the cardio advantage here and the durability advantage here. Miranda just, I've seen him multiple times just absolutely fold. I've seen the second round happen and he's just completely defeated right before the start of the second round. So I think it's round one sub or bust, and that is one path to victory. And if you're giving me one path to victory, I don't. How can I back you? So he has a little steep for Shane Young, but like you said, what is he on a? He's on a 3-fight losing streak, right? Yeah, 3-fight losing streak. It's now or never. So coming off the Builder fight, I was not impressed by that performance. That's the last taste that people have in their mouth of Shane Young. Shane Young has fucked a lot of people betting wise in the past, and I think that's why you back him in the spot. So it's only the matchup, right? A lot of matchups, I stay away from this fight. I would have no no desire whatsoever to back Shane, but against Miranda, a one-trick pony, if you will. I think I really like Shane, so I was interested to hear what you got to say, and I'm glad we're kind of on the same page.
Yeah, I pretty much align with you. The card overall, I'll be honest to everybody watching, I'm not really a fan of a lot of the numbers that are on the card. I'm not going to have a whole bunch of plays just because you're paying such a premium on a lot of these fighters. I like Tyson Pedro at the number. I like Tai Tuivasa at the number, but minus 700 Izzy, I can't get there. Inside the distance, watch him leg kick for 25 minutes. Shane Young beats himself. There's numbers in this fight that I just can't really get behind. So a lot of them are just going to be passes for me. So, let's see. Now, I don't know if you're looking at any props for this card, but this is going to be our next segment. Do you have any prop targets that you wanted to discuss?
Yeah, so I kind of talked about them a little bit already, but starting top down, I mean, the Izzy fight, I'm looking at Izzy KO round 2 is plus 700, Izzy round 3 KO is plus 850, and Izzy round 4 KO is plus 1200. I think I like 2 and 3 better if you only want to sprinkle on 2. But those odds are enough for me. I don't see a sub really, so I can kind of take that out of the equation. I think rounds 2 and rounds 3 are the sweet spots. I think that's enough time for the feeling out process, if there is one, enough for the fight to develop, enough for Izzy to kind of be fully in, what do you call it? Fully vibing and kind of fully into the fight. And I think those are the sweet spots right there. So I like that. What else? We mentioned the Tyson Pedro fight. This would be nuts because this will be the first time in his career that he does this. But Tyson Pedro by points is plus 460 on FanDuel. I think that path plays out enough times for you to take the shot. Again, you take it if you want to. You're looking at the resumes. I don't think that's something that a lot of people are going to be on. So I like that. To the Monday Night Cup. What else we got? Jack Jenkins, round 3 or decision. I believe I talked about that. Kind of an easier way to get the price down from minus 210 on FanDuel. So round 3 or decision, I think was around even money when I last checked. So Chepe's tough. I don't envision an early stoppage in this fight. I think this is a tough fight, a close fight to start. And, I see Jack kind of putting distance between them the later the fight goes. So, yeah, I like those couple of, longer shots, a couple of plus money shots. What about you?
So for props on this card, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't really interested in anything. Just because like the volatility that's on this card. If you're forcing me to give one, I think Jack Jenkins by split decision, but I don't think that it's going to be paying enough for me. I think, what is it, plus 650, something like that. I'm used to those being around plus 800. So for that, I would probably pass. Man, looking up and down the card, I'm not really a fan of the props. I'm going to keep it real with everybody. I'm not going to force anything. But the next segment that we have before we get into your best bet, we have some underdogs. Are there underdogs that you're targeting on this fight card?
I mean, we talked in length about it. Ty, one of the bigger Tai Tuivasa, one of the bigger underdogs on the card. think it's a really, really good spot. I think that fight is severely mispriced. So obviously you gotta jump on that value where you see fit. Doing another quick look. I mean, I like a lot of favorites, which is obviously a little scary, but yeah, has to be Ty, right? Has to be Ty. I'm not seeing any underdogs that I think have a good enough shot or multiple pass. So yeah, I'll
Yeah.
go with Ty.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Once again, I think that you're just paying a tax, man. There's this tax everywhere. The opening fight, Kiefer Crosby, we didn't really talk about it, but this guy is pretty pressure heavy. And Kevin Jousset, another city kickboxing guy, I see a lot of love for him out there, but he's a guy who's really easy to back up on the cage. But it's both guys' debut. I don't want to just back one of them because they're an underdog. I think that he's beatable too. Just everything on this card just screams like, shit, man, you got to pick your spots so carefully. I'm pretty low volume on this card. Tai Tuivasa. Yeah, that I think for me, that's going to be the number. And that's also going to be my personal best bet. And when I talk about best bets, I don't talk about things that I think are going to hit. It's because I think the number itself presents value. I don't think that there's any value on Volkov at -2, whatever he is now. But if you do, best of luck to you. We'll just be on opposite sides. I think that this is primed Tuivasa time. And, I just think that Volkov's slow, man. A lot of his strikes are already telegraphed. You kind of already know what he's going to do, where he's going. He's just so telegraphed. And even though Ty can be telegraphed too, that power coming back your way is a little hard to dodge. So my best bet on this card, I have to go with Tuivasa, man. I just have this feeling, and I don't know. Volkov can win, and I don't give a damn because I bet on numbers. I'm not betting on predictions. I'm not betting on the outcome of a fight. I'm still predicting him to win, but it's a numbers game for me. Whenever you bet on MMA, it's the numbers itself. You're not betting on spreads here. You're not betting on a handicap. You're betting on heart. You're betting on power. You're betting on. There's a lot of different factors out there, and I just think that the advantages are on the Tai Tuivasa side. Give me time, man. What is your best bet to wrap up this first episode of Split Decision?
Yes, sir. And shout out to you, my brother. As always, one of the sharpest in the game, profitable long term. So I appreciate you, bro. That's hard to do. Now this is a best bet segment, right? So I don't want to fuck around here, right? I want to give you guys a fucking winner, right? I want to give you guys a ticket that's gonna cash. So some people are gonna click off after I say this. My best bet is -170. That's what my best bet is, and I don't give a fuck about it. It might be close to a max play this time. Wink, wink. You know what I'm saying? Maybe foreshadowing, but it has to be the teammates, bro. It has to be Izzy and Oberg, Chalky. Yeah, question mark. Add like 3 more question marks in there. Chalky, Square. I don't give a fuck. Both of these guys are winning their fights. I'm not going to try to get cute, take Izzy ITD when he can easily 50-45 Sean. And I'm not going to get cute with Oberg either. Like I said, I like the overs in that fight. So Oberg can win it by decision. He can knock his face off, multiple pass. So I don't give a fuck what you think about it. My best bet is -175. It's going to be my biggest play of the card, and I'm giving you guys a source for free. We're going to take some plus money shots. No doubt about it. But this is when I see a smash spot, I don't give a fuck. I think there's still so much value on that 2-leg parlay, even though it's -170. So that's all I look for. So I'm going to absolutely hammer the fuck out of that 2-leg parlay. It's going to cash. You guys are going to be richer. And we'll see you back here next week.
Let's go, man. Yeah, I can see that parlay absolutely hitting. Sometimes it's easier to just kind of keep things simple, man. I don't really love the prices on this card, guys. I'm going to be honest. I bet on numbers. I don't just kind of force action out there. So Tuivasa's going to be mine. You heard the man Finesse. He's got his max play. Who knows? Shoot him a follow on Twitter and find out. We'll be back next week. I appreciate everybody tuning in. And we'll be back next week for episode 2. Expect a later start time because NFL is back. So it's going to be on prime time every Thursday now. So for the night owls out there, there's going to be a little bit of a new time. So I appreciate everybody who watched and tuned in. I'll be sure to share it on my Twitter and my Discord. Best of luck on your bets this weekend. And let's cash these tickets, guys. Later.